Congressman Lamborn, wonderful to have you on American Thought Leaders.
Thank you so much.
So let's talk about something that you're very passionate about, which is religious liberty in the context of the U.S. military.
I'm on the Armed Services Committee, so I see this firsthand. There are many excellent men and women in our military, and by and large, they want to do everything they can to defend the freedoms and the rights that our country was founded upon, including in the First Amendment, freedom of religion. Occasionally, we have problems. Occasionally, we have someone who is too restrictive on what they allow someone under their command to do. If someone under their command wants to name the name of God as a chaplain at a particular ceremony, or cannot support the endorsement of same-sex marriage, not working against it, but just not endorsing it, those kinds of people can get in trouble these days, and their professional career can be threatened. So the military just needs to do a better job of accommodating the religious conscience and views of those who are serving, including chaplains as well as soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines, and make sure that the rights that they're fighting for are not being restricted to them.
I see. Very interesting. Is there a particular case that comes to mind that?
Well, one case that I talked about in my speech at the Western Conservative Summit earlier today was that of Colonel Leland Bohannon. And he was vice commander of a 2nd Bomb Squadron out of Barksdale, Louisiana. And he was given papers to sign for a separation, a retirement ceremony, including, among all the other papers, a spousal appreciation.
Okay.
And this was a same-sex couple. He doesn't endorse same-sex marriage under his conscience, right. So he found someone else to do it, which should have, he found his superior to do it. So that should have ended the story right there. But complaints were filed against him, and he was denied a promotion that he should have gotten, and they were going to drum him out of the military. So I intervened. I think some other people intervened, and a lot of Americans who knew about this were praying as well, as asking God to intervene. And lo and behold, the Air Force turned that whole situation around. He was reinstated. He was not reprimanded at all. He was allowed to have his religious accommodation. And he came and stood and was clapped, was applauded here this morning. So anyway, that's the kind of example of what can happen, but Congress can't intervene every time something happens. We just need a culture where people are allowed to have their religious freedoms.
So do you have certain types of policies that you're recommending, or is it purely a culture idea?
Well, some of it is cultural. Some services are maybe more traditional and open than others. Like the Marines, I think, do a great job of respecting traditional values. Some have lawyers who step in and maybe are splitting hairs too much and are too restrictive. So sometimes what we have to do is respond on a case-by-case basis, but hopefully from a high-profile case,
right,
lessons will be learned. It'll be a teaching moment for the military and for the lawyers at the Pentagon, and they won't do that again.
I see. So, and again, the point is just simply to give a person the right to basically practice their faith as they understand it.
Exactly. When you go into the military, you don't give up your constitutional rights.
Right.
Now, you have to be able to do your job, and so no one's denying that you have to be a good soldier, sailor, airman, and Marine, but you should be able to practice your religion at the same time. There shouldn't be a conflict.
How is it? What about Colorado? Obviously, very important to you, your district, and so forth. Tell me a little bit about your work here.
I'm on the Armed Services Committee,
Yes.
and I represent
Yes.
Colorado Springs, which is a very military district.
Yes.
There's 5 major military installations in my congressional district. I'm the ranking member on the Readiness Subcommittee, which has about a $300 billion portfolio of operations, maintenance, construction, housing, environment, and so on. And
Keeps you busy.
it keeps me busy. We did have an incident a few years ago in Colorado Springs at the Air Force Academy. There was a cadet who wrote a Bible verse on his whiteboard next to his door. Everyone has a whiteboard, and they leave messages for friends or something inspirational. Well, he put up a Bible verse. Okay, what's the harm in that? But they wanted to restrict that, and it became kind of a...
Quite the opposite. What do you mean, what's the harm in that? I mean, it's supposed to be inspirational, right?
Exactly, it should have been. And someone overreacted and felt it was a violation of church and state.
Oh, I see.
And yet these are future officers at the Air Force Academy who are going to be defending those freedoms. So they should be able to enjoy them as well.
Okay, wonderful. So what would you say to people they're kind of struggling with this type of situation right now, maybe among our audiences and so forth?
If anyone's rights are threatened, they should not back down. They should firmly but respectfully stand up for their rights, take it to the higher level. Maybe it's just a misunderstanding by someone lower down that doesn't understand the Constitution or the Bill of Rights. So go higher up, and maybe that'll solve the problem. If it's someone in the military and they need to talk to their representatives or senators, they can do that. You know, I would be available. So hopefully we don't have to intervene all the time. Hopefully the military gets it right the first time.
So don't get discouraged, and look for help, because help will come.
Yeah, and don't give up. You know, these rights are too important. When someone defends their rights, it helps the next person, because their rights won't be violated if they stand up and get it solved and fixed the first time.
Powerful place to end. Congressman Lamborn, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.